Welcome back. One of the things I've learned in life is, yes, you always have a plan, you always have a strategy on how to do particular things, and you always have a way of doing things. However, I have learned that at times in life we have to deal with the most urgent. So we've been talking about education and technology, and probably this video is supposed to help us understand what technology is. However, that has been pushed to the next video simply because, yes, the point I'm going to talk about today is a little bit urgent. Well, before me, it seemed more urgent for me to talk about. The fact is, yes, I'm going to talk about something that is sad. However much my face is appearing with a smile, but I am grieved, okay? I am grieved because these are facts, and this is the truth. Yes, it is the sad truth. Yesterday was Saturday, August 17th, and I happened to have attended an education seminar workshop in the afternoon after church. And in this workshop, they invited one of the top people in one of the universities in Uganda. And this is a professor. Okay, so what I'm about to share with you is actually coming from the professor's mouth. So I'll leave his name outside this for some reasons. And also I would love to pass a disclaimer. I am not attacking any leader. I'm not attacking anyone in any position. I just feel like this is a collective effort that as Ugandans or Africans have to work on together without pointing fingers in one direction or another. What I'm about to say, I'm just quoting the professor's words, all right? There are particular facts that we ought to understand, especially us as parents, or even us ourselves, whoever that is watching this. If you have siblings, you could be the student yourself. You need to understand this, you need to know this, because this is part of what shapes your future. So in other words, what you're about to hear shapes your future. If it doesn't shape your future directly, it shapes the future of your child. Professor began by giving some facts. You know, I'm a data-driven person. Actually, most of you may not know I'm a data scientist, I'm a data analyst. That is the main profession that I carry, but I do a lot of other things. I'm not here to talk about that. We shall talk about some other day. So I'm going to give some facts, and please get ready. All right. I last heard when we had about 54 universities in Uganda. Professor told us that at the moment Uganda has 72 universities. Some of you may start wondering, like, where are all these universities? All of them in Uganda? Yes, Uganda alone. 72 universities. Most of us may only know probably 5. These big universities plus a few private universities, but there are so many universities in Uganda, it totals up to 72. Another interesting fact that Professor gave was, Uganda at the moment, there are lots of graduates that are produced every year, alright? Makerere alone stands at between 13,000 and 16,000 graduates. I mean, I am talking about the number of students that graduate in a particular year. So if I'm to talk about January this year, Makerere graduated between 13,000 and 16,000 students, or even more. All right. Now what is interesting is Makerere is not the only university. I talked about 72 universities at the moment. All right. Chambogo could be producing probably about 5,000 to 7,000 or 8,000. We have other universities that are populated, like Uganda Christian University. We have others like Gulu University, Mbarara University. So I'm talking about big icons. There is Bositema. Now, you may realize that those ones, the one that produces the least could be producing like 3,000. He gave this other fact. He said that the government of Uganda, if you're a government official, I want you to get me well, I am not attacking you, right? There's a fact. He said that the government at the moment is able to produce 300 jobs. Wow. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Which means the jobs that are produced by the government every year cannot even actually serve the smallest university, all right? Probably amongst the 72, there is one that produces 500 or even more. So the jobs that the government can actually create cannot even total up to that. To me, this was a bit sad. As someone who is passionate about education and skilling, I felt like this is something worth talking about. This is something worth sharing with everyone. This is something worth sharing with you as someone who is going through school today. You as a parent who has a child and you're paying all these lots of money for them to obtain education. This is something that is worth talking about. Okay, so the question that comes in is, where do all these graduates go? Ask yourself. So where do they go? So it is a question for us to ask. Where are the rest of the jobs? So when you're to look at the NGO sector, there are some jobs there. Private sector, there are some jobs. But the question is, are they adequate for the number of graduates that are produced every year? I want to leave that at that point. Okay? Other interesting statistics that he gave was, well, this most of us may be aware of. Like in the first video we had, we saw that education at times struggles to cope up with the current needs with the technology around. But it is also so sad that some of the degrees that we obtain are not relevant anymore. Okay? Why am I talking about this? I'll just quote his example, okay? He talked about a course that is Library and Information Science. They are still graduates of Library and Information Science. But the question is, like he asked, how many libraries are in Uganda? That is something for you to think about. I understand schools have libraries, universities have libraries, but how many of them can actually accommodate the current need? So all these graduates, can they be accommodated? That is a question for all of us to answer. Another interesting but sad statistics that he gave, this was actually information, all right? Being someone in a top or high strategic position in a university, he was once sent a letter. Now, I want you to listen to this carefully. Once he received a letter from one of the ministries, I won't mention the ministry, but probably you will know which ministry it is, telling them to actually stop enrolling or recruiting for nurses from 2025 academic year. That is interesting. So in that university, they told them to first hold on a little bit because the country already has more than enough nurses. So he also continued to say, well, this, I wasn't so certain whether it was his university or another, but he said that they also received another letter telling them to stop training pharmacists. Why? We are about to have streets full of pharmacies all over. We have an influx of pharmacies in Uganda. Well, when you move the streets, that is a fact. What was more fascinating in this story is what I'm about to say. He actually said that there is a particular university which was told to stop recruiting or enrolling or training medical doctors. This might sound sad, or this might sound actually interesting, because in Uganda, every 25,000 people, there is one doctor. But now we are being told, stop doing what? Training doctors. Why? There is an influx. Now, this is a fact, and this is sad, but it is the truth. If you happen to have friends who graduated last year, okay? Or this year, actually this year, I have a little friend. She graduated this year in January from Makerere. Is it January or February? One of the two. And they are still there waiting to be posted for internship. Now, what is the reason? The hospitals are full, okay? So they cannot take in any more intern doctors because they have more than enough in the hospitals. In other words, Professor made a joke that it seems like there are more doctors than patients in the hospitals. Well, I won't say much about that. You who is watching this, or you who is listening to this, if you're a parent or you are the student yourself, what are you thinking about all this? So that's a question. So I'm going to come back to you with part 2 that is concluding this story. Thank you so much. I'm going to request that please leave your comments, okay? Propose solutions to these problems. Yes, together. We may not leave this to the government. This is a community concern. So both of us have a role to play in making sure that we have a brighter future for the young generation. Thank you. Let's meet in the next episode.